So we are talking about the soon-to-be cult classic, I'm sure, Z-Rex, the Jurassic Dead, which is also known in the UK at least as Zombiesaurus. Now this one is directed by Milko Davis, but there's also a directing credit for Thomas Martwick as well. The bulk of the story here focuses on this kind of group of black ops, kind of a small military units. They are sent to a secret hideout of this kind of mad scientist where he's been doing strange experiments. Along the way, they actually run into a kind of group of sort of teenagers just out for a weekend as well. And then they all end up in this kind of big sort of like strange compound where this kind of mad scientist has been experimenting, making, yes, you've guessed it, a zombie T-Rex. Now, I've got to say, let's talk about any positives and negatives. We'll start off with the negatives. This seems like it's been a little bit hacked apart. The fact that we've got 2 director credits here leads me to believe that it was either unfinished or it's been spliced together with scenes from other films. There are a couple of prologues here that seem so out of place, and a couple of story elements that kind of meteor that kind of like just comes down that don't really seem to have any bearing on the kind of the story as such. And I don't know. It just seems like it's been hacked together a little bit. The editing here is quite poor. There are, even when we see the kind of the bulk of the story, when we kind of get to this compound, and really that's where we stay for the rest of the film. It feels like there are scenes that have been omitted, because we just sort of see one, for example, 2 guys that have just managed to lose the kind of the bulk, the rest of the gang, but we don't ever really see that. So it just feels like there's been scenes that have just been cut out. So it feels a little bit jarring, so to speak. Now, let's talk about any other negatives. This is clearly a low-budget film, and but they have an overuse of green screen here. Now, I can understand, obviously, when you're maybe the interiors of this kind of compound, you can get away with maybe doing the green screen, but there's like scenes where we literally just have someone walking outside an office building, or we have scenes in the desert that are shot on green screen. I think, why? Surely it can't be that expensive for those kind of like very common and basic backgrounds. But it's again, it just kind of is a little bit jarring. The acting here for a kind of B movie is suitably schlocky, and some of the extras, there's a scene at the beginning where we have a kind of scene in a university. The students here, the extras, are highly amusing. Keep your eye on them for massive overacting from the extras there. And the cast is, they're clearly having fun here. There's obviously some schlocky acting, but you don't expect Shakespeare when you're watching Zombiesaurus, do you? So, the acting a little bit schlocky. The effects outside of the green screen, I was surprised to see that it is actually a lot of practical. The Tyrannosaurus is actually a practical effect, but it's basically a guy in a suit. And therefore the actual Tyrannosaurus is on the rather small side, I've got to say. There you go. Let's talk about some positives here. I've got to say, I actually quite like the fact that this did use a practical effect, because obviously it's a low-budget film, and I think it would have really suffered and been particularly rubbish had they used a kind of CGI dinosaur. So I like the decision that they've used practical effects, even though, it looks a little bit small to be a T-Rex, and, it kind of looks rubbery from time to time, but I felt it worked better than the alternative. And I've also got to say, this is quite fun and knowingly winking at the kind of like geek culture. One of the commandos, for example, looks just like Duke Nukem, and the fact that these 2 characters actually acknowledge that, and it's quite fun and kind of quite, it's quite a nice little Easter egg for any kind of like video game fans out here. And I've got to say, this does remind me of a video game. When we kind of get into this complex, it has a definite Resident Evil feel to it, kind of walking around. And when the Tyrannosaurus does bite you, it does turn you into a zombie. So we do have human zombies as well. So it definitely has a Resident Evil vibe. Maybe even Dino Crisis, I guess, is more of an apt comparison there. So that was quite fun. And although, it is on the mega cheap side, some of the attacks here, they're suitably kind of gory and gooey, and it actually has a little bit of a fun factor for sure here. It definitely is. If you're a B-movie fan, you're probably going to want to check this out. I mean, it is I'm not gonna lie, it's a crappy film, but it's kind of a fun crappy film, and people here are just way OTT. The actual plot is pure schlock. The bad guy is channeling his best Darth Vader, the kind of the mad scientist here. So I think you'll like it if you are a B-movie fan. If you are a casual movie fan and you think, oh, that looks like a good Jurassic Park alternative, then stay away, is all I would say. Overall, I'll give this movie a 4 out of 10. Have you seen Zombiesaurus? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. 4 out of 10 for me. What did you think of it? Bye for now.